Both of you incompetents need to vanish from the headquarters immediately. It's an urgent transfer. Apparently, they're understaffed over there and things are getting pretty bad. Chuck, the department head, sneered as he ordered the transfer. What the heck? This is just harassment in the form of an emergency demotion. But next to me, George, my junior colleague, didn't seem to mind. Working at the Dream headquarters was fulfilling, but Chuck's harassment was unbearable. Day after day, only George and I were forced into pointless overtime. If we got along with any employees, he'd harass them too. Naturally, we ended up isolated within the company due to Chuck. There were even times when we couldn't see company-wide emails, all thanks to Chuck's harassment. Our computers were the only ones set to trash internal emails automatically. I just couldn't deal with this anymore. Just when I was fed up with this ridiculous boss, comes this absurd emergency demotion. Goodbye, useless employees. It'll be refreshing not having you around, Chuck said with a sleazy smile as he saw us off. Yes, we'll do our best at the new location, George replied with a broad salesman's smile. Yeah, good riddance to him, and I'm glad to have a fresh start at a new place. In my heart, I was responding the same way to Chuck. My name is Joe. I've been working at this car manufacturer for 5 years. But now, I've been happily demoted. The reason was that I stood up for George, who was desperately enduring Chuck's bullying. The moment I defended him, I too was branded as an incompetent employee and suffered Chuck's harassment alongside George. But this demotion means a goodbye to Chuck, which feels refreshing. George and I were assigned to manage a small dealership in a remote town, but this place is dirtier than I expected. This area's been declining, and we hardly get any customers. That's what Dan, a longtime salesperson here, said. The previous manager apparently neglected the store's maintenance and was terrible at customer service. That was apparently because the previous manager lost motivation due to the lack of customers. Got it, so let's start with cleaning up the place. George, you start with the windows. Yes, boss. Are we starting right now? Notice something, act immediately. This is the secret to winning over customers. With a smile, I said this to a surprised Dan and we began cleaning. While cleaning, we decided to also quickly check the scattered documents and the condition of the cars on display. That's when I stumbled upon a little treasure. I decided to ask Dan about this find. Oh, that car, it doesn't run anymore, but a customer insisted we keep it since it was made by us. I see. What caught my eye was the first car ever sold by our company in the 1950s, known as the No. 1. It's a battered old car, but any retro car enthusiast would be thrilled to see it. Boss, it'd be fun to get this running again, wouldn't it? Indeed. Shall we try fixing it? But to fix it, the engine's ruined, right? Besides, we can't put our budget into a wrecked car like this. Don't worry about it. I'll handle the costs with my savings. Leave it to me. Believe it or not, I'm actually a certified auto mechanic. I'm quite the car enthusiast. Back when I was at the headquarters, I tried restoring vintage cars several times. Well then, first things first, let's search the internet for someone who has an engine. Worst case, we might have to build the parts from scratch. If it comes to that, we're out of our depth. No worries. When the time comes, we'll have some help. Yes, right. George grinned at my words. Help. Do you know someone else who's an expert on cars? Dan looked puzzled, and I smiled confidently. A few days later, we received a call from an unexpected person. I'm sorry to bother you, but is Joe there? What? CEO. Why are you calling our store? Dan was so surprised that he stood up with the receiver still in his hand. I just need to ask Joe something. Yes, I'll pass the phone to him. Dan quickly handed me the phone. I cheerfully accepted the call. Hello, Joe speaking. I never expected a call from you, Keith. I was surprised by that internet post. To think you're restoring our company's first car, but to find that its parts, even if just the exterior, still existed. Yes, it was quite a shock. The engine is preserved at the headquarters, but restoring it is nearly impossible without the blueprints or molds for the other parts. So, is the number one at your branch in good condition, aside from the engine? Quite a few parts are corroded, but if we remove the rust, we might just manage. Though, we'll have to estimate and restore the parts that are beyond repair. Understood. Then it's settled. We'll allocate a budget at the headquarters and restore that number one car. It was produced in limited numbers and we don't even have an original in our company. Thank you. I'll be waiting for the good news then. Don't worry, leave it to me. I hung up the phone after finishing the call with Keith, the CEO. Looks like our powerful ally is already making moves. Dan looked at me in surprise. Keith was the ally. Wait, Joe, who exactly is he? We're nothing special. Back at headquarters, we've worked on restoring vintage cars a few times. The CEO himself got involved in those projects. George said what I wanted to say. I get it now. You intentionally called for the restoration of that car on the internet to draw attention from headquarters. Exactly. There were more enthusiasts than I expected. We even made a bit of a buzz on social media. George proudly showed Dan the phone screen. It displayed many passionate responses from car enthusiasts wishing for the revival of the number one car. I want to see the number one car in action. Looking forward to its revival. Among the responses were offers like, I have a listed number one car in my barn. I can send details if you contact me. Even from our corporate PR department sent an enthusiastic message. Hi, this is Nina from PR. Can we feature this story? This will definitely get the Keith's attention. Dan smiled, impressed. But why did headquarters demote talented folks like George and Joe? It's a loss for our company to transfer people who can contribute so much. Well, there was someone at headquarters who held a grudge against Joe. We actually welcomed the demotion to get away from that guy. Really? Dan looked puzzled by our words. But Dan, can you contact the original owner of this number one car? We need to check with them before we start fixing it. Understood. I'll look into it. Also, if you have a list of customers, I'd like to review it. If things go well, we'll want to showcase this to them. Sure thing. Saying that, Dan brought over a thick bundle of documents. Seeing it, I was truly astonished. Isn't the customer information digitized? Or is this just a backup in case something happens? I'm sorry. This is our customer information. I'm not good with computers. That's a problem. My apologies. Then, let's hire an office assistant who's good with computers. Work with them to digitize these documents. And let's make it a rule to clean the office for 30 minutes every day. It won't happen overnight, but we'll get there bit by bit. Got it. I'll contact the job center right away about hiring an office assistant. Thus, we started working on digitizing information and cleaning the store, alongside the restoration of the number one car. A few days later, we welcomed a new team member. I'm Mia. Pleased to meet you. The office assistant we hired was a recent college graduate. She's quite a beauty. Affected by the recession, it seems she's had trouble finding a job. Now, she's returned to her hometown and is doing part-time work and helping out at home. It really gets you down. Even after graduating from college, finding a job is so tough these days. While voicing her complaints, she and Dan were busy entering customer information into the computer. You type really fast, Dan commented. She laughed and replied, well, you can try a thesis in college without being able to use a computer. Thanks to the arrival of this efficient young woman, the workplace suddenly seemed more vibrant. Within about 3 days, all the customer information was entered into the computer, making it easy to access any client's personal details. In her spare time, she even helped clean, and the once dirty store was now spotlessly clean. However, It's been a while since we've heard about the number one car's engine from headquarters, George mused. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since Keith's call, I replied. Should we contact them to check? Yeah, let's get in touch with Keith directly. Directly to the CEO. Mia stopped typing and looked up in surprise. I suspect someone might be deliberately delaying our communications as a form of harassment. There's a troublesome guy back at headquarters who seems to be trying to set us up. Our former department at headquarters was also responsible for managing and maintaining the car display area. All the items on display were under the management of the same department. Probably, that annoying Chuck was interfering, causing the delay in the engine's arrival. But this project should have been authorized by Keith. We might need to give him a piece of our mind. George and I were calling it Keith. Joe, I haven't heard from you in a while. What's up? Sorry, Keith. The engine for the number one car from our old department hasn't arrived yet. It might be quicker to inquire directly with the department than through me. Actually, we've been experiencing harassment in that department. What? I explained to Keith all the harassment we faced from Chuck in our department. I was under the impression that your transfer to the regional store was your own request to liven up the branch. We didn't want to cause any trouble, so we kept quiet about Chuck's harassment. But when he starts interfering with a project directly approved by you, that's a different story. We're not generous enough to tolerate someone who harms the company's interests just to harass others. Understood. I'll have a word with him personally. Is that all right with you? Thank you very much. I was eagerly responding to Keith. The fallout was as expected. Joe, what did you tell Keith? Why do I have to be demoted now? Chuck called in a rage. It seems my talk with Keith about Chuck's harassment led to the discovery of his mistreatment of other employees too. HR took action, and it seems Chuck was demoted as a result. No, what are you talking about, Chuck? I don't know anything about it. I had simply told Keith the whole truth. This was Chuck's own doing. It's none of my concern. Please, ask Keith to reconsider. Sorry, we're busy over here too. With that, I hung up on Chuck. In front of us, the number one car with its engine installed was about to move. Dan was the driver. Go for it, Dan. Mia cheered him on. Dan waved at Mia through the windshield and slowly started a car. Wow, it's actually moving. Yeah, seeing such a retro car in action is really moving. It was worth being transferred here. George and I laughed together. Tomorrow, we have planned a showcase event for the number one car. We sent out DM to our customers for this. Retro car enthusiasts will surely be delighted. The PR department from headquarters will come for a DV interview. Keith also emailed that he's looking forward to it. It will be great publicity for our car and branch. Joe, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Definitely, it was worth all the hard work. I embraced George in excitement. Joe and George, you guys are really close, huh? Is this what they call a bromance? It's not like that, I said laughingly to Mia's teasing comment, and she retorted with a slightly pouting face. No, Joe and George are too close. It makes me jealous just watching them. Oh, Joe is so oblivious. Really oblivious. Mia and George grinned at me. What are you talking about? Come on, you're so clueless. Mia looked at me with a laugh. Little did I know, she would confess her feelings to me later. Since being transferred, I've been having more fun than ever. Everything turned out just fine in the end.